Welcome to the Daily's Husky Highlights Show. I'm Taylor Soper, sports multimedia producer at the Daily, and for the first time joining us is...
I'm Jacob Thorpe. I'm the men's basketball columnist for the Daily.
And we're here at Heck Edmondson Pavilion following the UW's 93-63 victory over the Pilots. Pretty easy victory for the Huskies. In doing so, they improved to 3-0 and captured the World Vision Classic. C.J. Wilcox was named M.V.P. So let's get right to the highlights.
Monday night isn't exactly your typical college basketball tip-off time, but Heckhead was still alive for the World Vision Classic Championship game. The Huskies had beaten Georgia State and Florida Atlantic on Saturday and Sunday and would face Portland in the final. This was head coach Lorenzo Romar's 300th game at the Husky helm, and his young but talented squad would not disappoint. Junior point guard Abdul Gadi continued his impressive play Monday and gave the Huskies an early 2-0 advantage, a lead that the UW would hold on to for the rest of the night. Senior Darnell Gant added this jumper to make it 12-6 Huskies. Gant finished with 10 points and 6 boards. Then it was freshman Sean Kemp Jr. with a big block, and fellow freshman Tony Roten Jr. speeding down the court and faking out Kevin Bailey to finish with a layup to give the Huskies an 18-6 lead with 12:21 left in the first half. Let's see that one more time. And ooh, that was so nasty.
When he comes in, the game gets a little quicker when he comes in the game. He has a great push with the basketball. He brings excitement and energy to our team when he comes in the game.
Sophomore Terrence Ross finished with a game-high 24 points, and this three made it 21-8 Huskies. And then it was Tony time again, with Roten finishing off a Gaddy dish on the sick alley-oop that energized the Heckhead crowd and made it 29-16 Huskies with 5:45 left in the first half. Here's the replay for you again as Roten somehow gets his hand on it and throws it down.
It looked open, like the guy was coming up, and then Tone went, and then he kind of like see me fake and then go back, and so he backed up, and I just threw it. I just knew if I threw it high enough, Tone would go get it.
Ross added another three just before the half as the Huskies took a 43-23 lead into the break. T. Rose wasn't done yet, and this flashy dunk from Roten made it 51-26 Huskies. But Ross's offense wasn't what Romar was most impressed with on this night.
I don't know if I've been more proud of someone on the defensive end than Terrence Ross. You're talking about someone who last year was very gifted offensively, but was behind on the defensive end, and it was tough for him. And now he's come to do what he did tonight. Just guard a very good shooter, a tough basketball player. He did all that while still having a fantastic offensive evening. The great ones are capable of doing both.
Gant was back with this booming dunk that made it 55-26 Huskies with 15:08 left in the second half. And then Roten provided another highlight with this slick pass to Njai. Roten finished with 11 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals. And when the human victory cigar is in, you know it's a Husky win. It was a final score of UW 93, Portland 63.
Our guys put forth our best team effort tonight, not only in terms of sharing the basketball, but in terms of team defense and really trying to help one another out. I felt our team was lost into the game. I didn't think anyone had their own agenda. I thought we just all played Husky basketball as a group, and those were the results.
So we're back at Heck Edmondson Pavilion, and let's talk about C.J. Wilcox. He added 3 more threes today, 17 more points, tournament MVP. What did you see out of him for these past 3 games?
Well, we always knew he could shoot, Taylor, but I think what we're really starting to see out of CJ is that ability to be more than just a spot-up shooter. He's been showing dribble drive. He's been making great cuts. He's been finishing at the rim. Romar always said last year that CJ was arguably the fastest player on the team with the ball in his hands, and I think we're starting to see that out of him. He's starting to cut through the lane. At first it was a little iffy. He lost the ball a few times, but as he's developing that confidence, I think we're going to see a much more all-around player from CJ Wilcox. And you saw that this weekend as he was named the Pac-12 Player of the Week.
So you got C.J. Wilcox on offense, guys like Terrence Ross who put up 24 points, but really the difference tonight seemed like defense. They held the Pilots to 34% shooting. Romar's always preached defense, but what have you seen this year out of the Huskies, and especially tonight?
Well, this team is just built to be good at defense. You've got a lot of long, athletic, tall guards who are really tough to shoot over. There were times when they'd be out of position, maybe not even playing great defense, but the fact that you've got Roten at 6'5", Gaddy 6'3", CJ and Ross are 6'6", and they're all fast. they can close out on shooters. And when you've got a guy in your face who's taller than you and can jump higher than you, it's tough to make a shot. So I think all year we're just going to see that this is going to be a good defensive team out of necessity and just out of the fact that they're pretty good defensive players.
Yeah, for sure. And there's that guy, Tony Roten, I think his name is, freshman out of Garfield. He's kind of good.
Oh, he's got some talent, I think. A little growing to do, but you really just see some stuff out of him that it's just, you can see why the NBA scouts are just going to dazzle over this guy, even with just an ugly, ugly shot right now. He can pass, he can dribble, he can drive, and he's just an athletic freak, really. Just big, strong, fast, a lot of passion for the game. You saw that he adds a lot of spark to this team. He finished an alley-oop today. That's your point guard finishing an alley-oop. And he was just roaring for the crowd. And that's that kind of Nate Robinson spark that this team maybe kind of hasn't had in recent years, but can really just change a game with his force of personality. And that's what Roten's starting to bring.
For sure. So you got Roten, Ross, you got a lot of those young guys. These guys are just fun to watch. And on top of that, they're 3-0, they're undefeated. A lot of people didn't think this team would be as good as last year's squad, but so far so good. Give us your synopsis of the first 3 games. The 3-0 undefeated, headed to St. Louis in 6 days, but seems like they've been playing pretty well.
Well, I think this weekend is exactly what Romar wanted. He knows there's going to be some growing pains. I think people tend to forget that guys like Terrence Ross and C.J. Wilcox, I think because they're such big parts of the team, people kind of forget they're only sophomores. They're young players. They still have some learning to do. Aziz Njai, he's in his second year in the program. Abdul Gadi actually missed most of last year, so he's still kind of a young player in that regard. And then Tony Roten, the first guy off the bench, has only had a couple practices because he had some knee surgery before the season started. This is an incredibly young team. You're going to see a lot of growing pains, but they showed that they're talented enough to beat weaker teams, which is a big thing. And then they've improved almost every game, it seems like. It looks like they're going to continue to improve. They weren't playing the toughest competition, but they didn't need to be right at this point of the season. And they're growing and learning from that. So I think it was a good weekend for them. They won all their games. Obviously, that's always a good weekend. And while there's definitely a lot to fix, that only speaks to their potential for improvement.
Right. I think regardless, it's going to be a fun team to watch. And football's almost over. Thank God we're inside. It's actually warm in here, which is something that all the reporters here can appreciate. So next Sunday, the Huskies will travel to St. Louis at 9 o'clock Pacific time. And that's their next game. They'll have a nice little break. Maybe tomorrow have a break from those 3 games in a row and get right back at it. So for Jacob, I'm Taylor, and we'll see you next week.